Exodus 35. Then Moses assembled all the congregation of Bnei Israel and said to them, "These are the words with which Adonai has commanded you to do. Work is to be done for 6 days, but the seventh day is a holy day for you, a Shabbat of complete rest to Adonai. Whoever does any work then will die. Do not kindle a fire in any of your dwellings on Yom Shabbat." Moses also said to all the congregation of Bnei Israel, "This is the word which Adonai commanded, saying, Take from among you an offering for Adonai. Whoever has a willing heart, let him bring Adonai's offering, gold, silver, and bronze, blue, purple, and scarlet cloth, fine linen and goat hair, ram skin dyed red, sealskin and acacia wood, oil for the light, spices for the anointing oil and for the sweet incense, onyx stones and setting stones for the ephod and for the breastplate. Let every wise-hearted man among you come and make everything that Adonai has commanded you, including the tabernacle, its tent and its covering, its clasps and its boards, its crossbars, its pillars and its bases, the ark and the poles, the atonement cover and the curtain screen, the table and its poles, all of its utensils, along with the bread of the presence. But also the menorah light with its utensils, its lamp and the oil for the light, the altar of incense and its poles, the anointing oil, the sweet incense, and the screen for the entrance of the tabernacle, the altar of burnt offering with its grating of bronze, its poles and all its utensils, the basin and its stand, the hangings of the courtyard, the pillars and their bases, and the curtain of the gate of the courtyard, the pegs of the tabernacle in the courtyard, along with their cords, the woven garments for ministering in the holy place, and the holy garments for Aaron the Kohen for his sons to minister as Kohanim. Then all the congregation of Bnei Israel departed from before Moses, everyone whose heart stirred him, and everyone whose spirit was willing, and brought Adonai's offerings for the work of the tent of meeting, and for all the service, as well as for the holy garments. So they came, both men and women, everyone whose heart compelled him, and brought nose rings, earrings, signet rings, bracelets, and all kinds of golden jewels. And everyone who brought a wave offering of gold to Adonai. Everyone who had blue, purple, scarlet, fine linen, goat hair, ram skin, dyed red, or sealskins also brought them. Everyone who can make a contribution of silver or bronze brought Adonai's offerings, and every man who had acacia wood of any use for service brought it. Also, all the women who were wise-hearted spun with their hands and brought what they had woven, the blue, purple, scarlet, and fine linen. All the women whose hearts stirred them up with wisdom spun the goat hair. Also, the leaders brought onyx stones and setting stones for the ephod and for the breastplate, along with the spice, the oil for the light, and for anointing, and for the sweet incense. Every man and woman whose heart made them willing to give toward all the work that Adonai had commanded to be done by Moses' hand. So Bnei Israel brought it as a freewill offering to Adonai. Then Moses said to Bnei Israel, "See, Adonai has called by name Bezalel, son of Uri, son of Hur, son of the tribe of Judah. He has filled him with the Ruach of God, with wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, and all manner of craftsmanship, to make ingenious designs, to work in gold, silver, and bronze, as well as cutting gemstones for setting, wood carving, to make all kinds of skillful craftsmanship. He has also placed on his heart the ability to teach, both he and Oholiab, son of Hasamach, the tribe of Dan. He has filled them with wisdom of hearts to forge all the workers of an engraver, an artisan, and an embroiderer in purple, scarlet, and in fine linen, as well as weaving. They can perform every craft and ingenious design." Exodus 36. So Bezalel and Oholiab are to work, along with every wise-hearted man whom Adonai has placed in sight and understanding to know how to perform all the labor for the service of the sanctuary, according to everything Adonai has commanded. Then Moses called Bezalel, Oholiab, and all the wise-hearted men in whose minds Adonai has set wisdom, along with everyone whose hearts stirred him up to do the work. They received from Moses the entire offering that Bnei Israel had brought for the work of the service of the sanctuary to build it. They brought freewill offerings to him morning after morning. Then all the skilled men who were doing all the work of the sanctuary came, one by one, from the work he was doing, and said to Moses, "The people are bringing much more than enough for the work of this construction that Adonai has commanded to be done." So Moses gave an order, and they proclaimed it throughout the camp, saying, "Let neither man nor woman make anything else an offering for the sanctuary, as an offering." So the people were restrained from bringing more, for the work material they had was sufficient for all the work, with much left over. So all the wise-hearted men among them did the work. They made the tabernacle with 10 curtains of finely twisted linen, along with blue, purple, scarlet, with cherubim, and the work of the skillful craftsmen. The length of each curtain was 28 cubits, and the width of each curtain was 4 cubits. All the curtains had one measure. And then he coupled 5 curtains to one another, and the other 5 curtains he also coupled together. He made blue loops on the edge of the curtain that was the outermost within the first set. He did the same along the edge of the curtain that was the outermost of the second set. He made 50 loops in one curtain, and 50 loops on the edge of the curtain that was the second set, so that the loops were opposite to one another. Also, he made 50 clasps of gold and coupled the curtains to one another with the clasps so that the tabernacle was one. Then he made curtains from goat hair for a tent over the tabernacle. He made 11 curtains. The length of each curtain was 30 cubits, and the width of each was 4 cubits. The 11 curtains had one measure. He coupled 5 curtains by themselves and 6 other curtains by themselves. He made 50 loops on the edge of the curtain that was outermost in the first set, and the 50 loops on the edge of the curtain that was the outermost in the second set. Also, he made 50 bronze clasps to couple the tent together so that it would be one. Then he made a covering for the tent of ram skin dyed red, along with a covering of sealskin above. He also made the framework of boards for the tabernacle from acacia wood standing upright. The length of a board was 10 cubits, the width was a cubit and a half. Each board had 2 supports, one joined to one another. He did this for all the boards of the tabernacle, so he built the boards for the tabernacle, 20 boards from the south sideward, and he made 40 silver bases under the 20 boards, two bases under one board for its 2 supports, and 2 bases under another board for its 2 supports. Also, for the second side of the tabernacle on the north side, he made 20 boards along with their 40 silver bases, 2 under one board and 2 under the next. For the back part of the tabernacle western, he made 6 boards. He also made 2 boards for the corners of the tabernacle in the back, so that they could be doubled underneath, and in the same way to be fixed to the top at the first ring. He did this for both of them at the 2 corners, so there were 8 boards along with their silver bases, 16 in all, 2 under each board. Then he made crossbars from acacia wood, 5 for the boards on one side of the tabernacle, 5 for the boards on the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 crossbars for the boards of the tabernacle for the back part westward. He built the middle crossbar to pass through in the center of the boards from one end to the other. He overlaid the board with golds and made golden rings for them as holders for the crossbars, and overlaid the crossbars with gold. Then he made the curtain of blue, purple, scarlet, and finely twisted linen, along with the cherubim and the work of the skillful craftsman. He made 4 pillars of acacia and overlaid them with gold, having golden hooks, and he cast 4 silver bases for them. Then he made a paroquet for the entrance of the tent of blue, purple, scarlet, and finely twisted linen, the work of a colored weaver. Also, he made the 5 pillars with their hooks and overlaid their capitals and bands with gold, along with their 5 bronze bases. Chapter 37. Bezalel also made an ark from acacia wood, 2.5 cubits long, a cubit and a half wide, and a cubit and a half high. He overlaid it with pure gold inside and out and made a crown of gold for it all around. He cast 4 golden rings for it, in the 4 feet, the 2 rings on one side and 2 on the other. He also made poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold. Then he put the poles into the rings on the sides of the ark to carry the ark. He made an atonement cover of pure gold, 2.5 cubits long, a cubit and a half wide. Then he forged 2 cherubim of gold from hammered woodwork, and the 2 ends of the atonement cover, 1 cherub at one end and 1 cherub at the other. He made the atonement cover from a single piece with the cherubim on the 2 ends, so the cherubim spread out their wings on high, overshadowing the atonement cover with their wings, with their faces to one another and the faces of the cherubim toward the atonement cover. Then he made the table of acacia wood, 2 cubits long, 1 cubit wide, and a cubit and a half high. He overlaid it with pure gold and made a golden crown all around it. He also made a border for it, a hand width around it, and made a golden crown for the border around. He cast 4 golden rings for it and put the rings in the 4 corners that were on the 4 feet. The rings were close to the borders as holders for the poles to carry the table. He also made the poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold, so to carry the table. He forged the articles that were on the table, the dishes, pans, bowls, and jars, with which to pour out the pure gold. Then he made the menorah of pure gold, of hammered work, even its base, its stem, its cups, its bulbs, and its flowers were one piece with it. There were 6 branches going out of the sides, these branches out of one side and 3 branches out of the other. 3 cups made like an almond blossom were in one branch, a bulb within a flower, and 3 cups made like an almond blossom in the next branch, another bulb within a flower. It was just so for the 6 branches going out of the menorah. Also within the menorah were 4 cups made like almond blossoms, bulbs, and flowers, with a bulb under 2 branches of one piece, a second bulb under 2 branches of another piece, and a bulb under 2 branches of a third piece, for 6 branches extending out of it. Their bulbs and their branches were one piece with it, and entire hammered work of pure gold. He also made 7 lamps, along with tongs and censers of pure gold. He made them from a talent of pure gold, along with all the pieces. He made the altar of incense from acacia wood, a cubit long, a cubit wide, squared, and 2 cubits high. The horns on one piece with it. Then he overlaid it with pure gold on top, on the sides, around, and over its horns. Also he made a crown of gold for it around. He made 2 golden rings for it underneath the crown on 2 sides as holders for the poles in order to carry it. He made the poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold. Then he made the holy anointing oil and the pure incense of sweet spices, the blend of a perfumer. Exodus 38. Altar for sacrifices. He then made the altar for burnt offering from acacia wood. It was square, 5 cubits long, 5 cubits wide, and 3 cubits high. He also made the horns on the 4 corners from one piece and overlaid it with bronze. Then he made all the utensils for the altar, the pots and the shovels, the basins, the forks, and the fire pans. He made all the utensils from bronze. He also made a bronze grating net for the altar under the ledge around it, reaching halfway up. He cast 4 rings for the 4 ends of the bronze grating to be holders for the poles. He made the poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with bronze, and he put the poles onto the rings of the sides of the altar to carry, and he made it hollow out of boards. He made the basin and the base from bronze with mirrors from the women who served at the entrance of the tent of meeting. Then he made the courtyard. From the south side hanging of the courtyard were finely twisted linen, 100 cubits long. There were 20 pillars with 20 bronze bases. The hooks of the pillars and their bands were silver. Likewise for the north side, 100 cubits long with 20 bronze pillars and bases, and the hooks for the pillars and their bands were silver. For the west side of the hangings were 50 cubits with 10 pillars and 10 bases, as well as the hooks for the pillars and their silver bands. Likewise for the east side, 50 cubits long, the hangings for one of the gates were 15 cubits with 3 pillars and their bases. Similarly, for the other side, on either side of the gate of the courtyard, were hangings of 15 cubits with their 3 pillars and 3 bases. All the hangings of the courtyard all around were finely twisted linen. The base for the pillars were bronze, and the hooks of the pillars and their bands were silver. The overlaying of their capitals were silver, with all the pillars of the courtyard were ringed with silver. The curtain for the gate of the courtyard was the work of a color weaver of blue, purple, scarlet, and finely twisted linen. It was 20 cubits long and 5 cubits high, like the hangings of the courtyard. Their 4 pillars and 4 bases were bronze. Their hooks, along with the overlayings of their capitals and their bands, were silver. All the pegs of the tabernacle in the courtyard all around were bronze. Parashat Pektueh. There are the accounts of the 12. These are the accounts of the tabernacle of the testimony, as they were recorded according to the commandment of Moses by the service of the Levites under the hand of Ithamar, son of Aaron the Kohen. Bezalel, son of Uri, son of Hur, of the land of the tribe of Judah, made all that Adonai commanded Moses. Along with him was Oholiab, son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, a craftsman, a skillful workman, and a weaver of colors in blue, purple, scarlet, and fine linen. The entirety of the gold that was used for this work of the sanctuary, including the gold of the offering, was 29 talents and 730 shekels, according to the sanctuary shekel. The silver from those numbered from the congregation was 100 talents and 1,775 shekels, according to the sanctuary shekel. That is a beka, or half a shekel per head, according to the shekel of the sanctuary, for everyone who was recorded from 20 years old and upward, for 603,550 men. The 100 talents of silver were for casting the bases of the sanctuary and the bases for the inner curtain. 100 bases for 100 talents, a talent for each base. The 1,775 shekels he made into hooks for the pillars, overlaid their capitals, and made bands for them. The bronze from the offering was 70 talents and 2,400 shekels. With it he made the bases of the entrance of the tent of meeting, the bronze altar, the bronze grating, all the utensils for the altar, along with the bases of the courtyard all around, with the bases for the gate of the courtyard, as well as for the pegs of the tabernacle around the pegs for the courtyard and all around. Chapter 39. Next they made woven garments of blue, purple, and scarlet for ministering in the holy place. They made the holy garments for Aaron, and as Adonai commanded Moses. He made the ephod of gold, purple, blue, scarlet, and finely twisted linen. They hammered the gold into thin plates and cut it into threads to work it in it with blue, purple, and scarlet, in the fine linen, the work of a skillful craftsman. Then they made shoulder pieces for it, joined together at the 2 ends. The artfully woven band of the ephod with which to gird it was of the same piece and of the same kind of workmanship of gold, blue, purple, scarlet, and finely twisted linen, as Adonai commanded Moses. They placed the onyx stones enclosed in a setting of gold, etched with engravings of a signet seal, according to the names of Bnei Israel. He put them on the shoulder piece of the ephod to be memorial stones for Bnei Israel, as Adonai commanded Moses. He made the breastplate the work of a skillful craftsman, like the work of the ephod, of gold, blue, purple, scarlet, and finely twisted linen. It was square and folded double, a span long and a span wide. They mounted within it 4 rows of stones, a row of ruby, topaz, and emerald were the first row. In the second row were a turquoise, a sapphire, and a diamond. In the third row were a jacinth, an agate, and an amethyst. And in the fourth row were a beryl, an onyx, and a jasper. They were enclosed in fittings of gold within their settings. The stones corresponded to the names of Bnei Israel, like the engravings of a signet seal, each one according to its name for the 12 tribes. They attached braided chains to the breastplate of wreathed work from pure gold. They made 2 settings of gold and 2 golden rings, and set 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. They attached the 2 gold chains to the 2 rings at the end of the breastplate. The other 2 ends of the chains they placed on the 2 settings and fastened them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod in the front. They also made 2 golden rings and set them on the 2 ends of the breastplate and the edge that was toward the side of the ephod facing inward. They made 2 more gold rings and put them on the 2 shoulder pieces of the ephod underneath, in front, enclosed by their coupling above the artfully woven band of the ephod. Then they bound the breastplate by the ring to the rings of the ephod with a blue thread so that it would rest on the artfully woven band and not be loosened from the ephod, as Adonai commanded Moses. He also made the robe of the ephod from woven work, all of blue, with the whole of the center of the robe and a binding woven around the cowl as a collar, so that it would not be torn. They also made on the hem of the robe pomegranates of blue, purple, scarlet, and twisted linen. Then they made bells of pure gold and put the bells between the pomegranates and the hem of the robe all around between the pomegranates. A bell and a pomegranate, then another bell and a pomegranate all around on the hem of the robe to minister in, as Adonai commanded Moses. Then they made the sashes of fine woven work for Adonai and for his sons, the turban of fine linen, the headwear, the linen undergarments of finely twisted linen, along with the tunic of checkered work in blue, purple, and scarlet, the work of a color weaver, as Adonai commanded Moses. Finally, they made the plate of the holy coronet from pure gold and wrote an inscription on it, like the engraving of a signet seal, holy to Adonai. They tied it to a blue thread to fasten onto the turban above, as Adonai commanded Moses. So all the work of the tabernacle, the tent of meeting, was finished. B'nai Israel did everything according to what Adonai just commanded Moses. They did it just so. Then they brought the tabernacle of Moses along with the tent and all of its furnishings, its clasps, its boards, its crossbars, its pillars, and its bases, along with the covering of rams' skins dyed red and the coverings of seal skins, the veil of the curtain, as well as the ark of the testimony with its poles and the atonement cover, the table and all of its utensils, the showbread, the pure menorah with its lamps to be set in order, along with all of its utensils and oil for the light, the golden altar, the anointing oil, the sweet incense, and the curtain for the entrance of the tent, the bronze altar, its grating and its poles, along with all of its utensils, and the basin and its base, the hangings for the courtyard with its pillars, the base and the curtain for the gate of the courtyard with its cords and pegs, along with all instruments for the service of the tabernacle of the tent of meeting, as well as woven garments for ministering in the sanctuary, the holy garments for Aaron the Kohen and for his sons to serve as Kohanim. According to everything that Adonai had commanded Moses, B'nai Israel had done all the work just so. When Moses saw the entire work that they had just done is just as Adonai had commanded, Moses blessed them. Chapter 40. Then Adonai spoke to Moses, saying, on the first day of the month you will set up the tabernacle of the tent of meeting. You are to put the ark of the testimony there and screen off the ark with a curtain. Then bring in the table and set it in order so that the bread is on it, bringing the menorah and the light its lamps. Set the golden incense altar in front of the ark of the testimony and hang the curtain over the entrance of the tabernacle. Set the altar of burnt offering before an entrance of the tabernacle, the tent of meeting. Set up the basin between the tent of meeting and the altar and put water in it. Set up this courtyard all around and hang the curtain of the gate of the courtyard. Take the anointing oil and anoint the tabernacle and everything within it and consecrate it along with all its furnishings, and it will be holy. Also, you are to anoint the altar of burnt offering with all of its utensils and consecrate the altar. The altar will be most holy. Then you are to anoint the basin along with its base and sanctify it. Bring Aaron and his sons to the entrance of the tent of meeting and wash them with water. Put the holy garments on Aaron, anoint him, and consecrate him so that he may minister to me as Kohen. Also bring his sons and put tunics upon them. You are to anoint them as you did their father, so that they too may minister to me as Kohanim. Their anointing will not be an everlasting priesthood throughout the generations. Moses did so, just as Adonai had commanded him. Now it happened during the first month of the second year, on the first day of the month, the tabernacle was raised up. Moses raised the tabernacle and laid its bases, set up the framework of the boards, put in the crossbars, and set up its pillars. Then he spread the tent over the tabernacle and put the covering of the tent on it, just as Adonai had commanded Moses. He placed the testimony into the ark, set the poles in the ark, and put the atonement cover on top of the ark. He brought the ark into the tabernacle, set up the curtain as a screen, and screened off the ark of the testimony, just as Adonai had commanded Moses. Then he set up a table inside the tent of meeting, on the side of the tabernacle northward, outside the curtain. He set a row of bread in order upon it before Adonai, just as Adonai had commanded Moses. Then he placed the menorah in the tent of meeting, over against the table on the south side of the tabernacle. Then he lit the lamps before Adonai, just as Adonai had commanded Moses. Next he placed the golden altar in the tent of meeting before the curtain, and he burned sweet spices of incense there, just as Adonai had commanded Moses. He hung the curtain over the entrance of the tabernacle. Then he set the altar of burnt offering at the entrance of the tabernacle, the tent of meeting, and offered it upon the burnt offering and the grain offering, just as Adonai had commanded Moses. Next he set up the basin between the tent of meeting and the altar and put the water on it for washing, so that Moses, Aaron, and his sons could wash their hands and their feet there. Then when he went into the tent of meeting, and when he came near the altar, they washed, just as Adonai had commanded Moses. He set up the courtyard around the tabernacle, and the altar set up the screen at the gate of the courtyard, so Moses finished the work. Then the cloud covered the tent of meeting, and the glory of Adonai filled the tabernacle. Moses went as unable to enter into the tent of meeting, because the cloud resided there, and the glory of Adonai filled the tabernacle. Now whenever the cloud was taken up from over the tabernacle, Bnei Israel went onward throughout all their journeys. But if the cloud was not taken up, then they did not move out until the day that it was. For the cloud of Adonai was on the tabernacle by day, and a fire was there by night in the sight of all the house of Israel throughout all their journeys.